Hey everybody, it's Jason here at North of Exile Games, your local game store in Penetanguishene, Ontario. We're closed right now. It's Friday, which means it feels really weird that we're closed, but this COVID-19 thing, it's got everybody on lockdown, and rightfully so. Let's be careful here, nip this in the bud and get well soon. But there's some interesting gaming news I want to talk about today. I mean, there's a lot of news going on in the world right now, and some of it affects gaming stores like us. So I just wanted to talk about it for a minute and let you, the viewers at home, know what's going on and how it's affecting us here in the north and probably other stores. First out, shout out to Grounded Coffee Co. in Midland, which is the next town over. They make delicious coffee. We sell it all the time here in the store when we're open and we have people. So you can imagine I have a surplus of coffee here in the back. I've been drinking it every day, and I think I'm literally running on just caffeine right now. But you know, such is life. It's great coffee. So anyways, let's talk about the gaming news for a second. First of all, we're located in the province of Ontario here in Canada, so some of the news I'm about to talk about may not be the same as in the States or whatever, so your mileage may vary. First thing to talk about is, based on Magic, Wizards of the Coast has announced that they're delaying the release of the next big Magic set, Ikoria, which is huge news, and for a store like us, we're really happy about it, because we were in that awkward spot where first it was going to be business as usual, then the virus got worse and worse, and people had to start shutting down, and then we're like, well, what are we going to do? And then it was going to be, well, we're going to still do pre-release, but for the first time ever, you can just sell the kits, let people take them home. No penalties. It won't hurt your metrics for future promos and stuff. Just sell it to them. But for a small town like us, our store, we were worried about that because when booster boxes can be taken home the same day as pre-release kits, and we usually buy somewhere in the realm of around 100, 120 pre-release kits, how do we know how many to buy this time? Will people still want to buy them? Will they want to buy 4 or 5 like they would normally? Would they just want booster boxes instead? Because without actual events to physically play in where you're head-to-head with people, we had no idea whether anybody would really want kits. So it was a scary thing to think about. And now that Wizards has just outright said, nope, in North America, we're pushing it back till at least May. That's awesome, because it gives us a little more time to figure things out and takes a lot of pressure off of us and off the wholesalers. So classy move, Wizards of the Coast. Another classy move by Wizards of the Coast, really amazing gesture they've done, is they've announced that they're going to be sending a small shipment of mystery booster boxes to all of the WPN certified stores. Now what that means is we're WPN certified. We put in the work and the effort to host like official real F&M events and, you know, real pre-release events and all that stuff. And because we do the work and effort to have like a good quality environment and we get recognized by them, they're sending us stuff for free. And what that means is when these mystery booster boxes come out, and I don't know how many they're going to be, we're a small town, we might not get many, but whatever we get, it's free of charge for us. That means that you, the viewers at home, and our customers who shop online at northofixilegames.com, you're going to have peace of mind knowing that when you buy those mystery boxes, every single penny of it is going to help us, the store, stay in business, which is really generous. And I really, even if they only sent me 1 box, you know, I'd still be grateful because any help is really appreciated. So big classy move, big shout out to Wizards. Thank you so much for stepping up and doing, you know, something, anything, because we're all in scary times. Even, here's a side note too, and there's going to be skeptics out there who are like, oh yeah, but they're owned by Hasbro and they have all the money in the world. Here's the thing. Everybody's suffering right now. Even big companies like Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, we're all suffering. I mean, first of all of our employees are suffering, our families are suffering. Everybody knows somebody who's been sick or affected or whatnot. It's a scary time. And just because they're a big multimedia or multi-million-dollar company, that doesn't change the fact that they're still human beings, right? And the fact that they thought to do anything to support us, the stores on the bottom, is really classy. So I genuinely thank Wizards of the Coast for that. So Ikoria got delayed, which is great for small stores like us. They're sending us some mystery booster boxes for free. That means all the dollars and cents spent on them help keep us alive. That's great as well. Interesting news is that Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, recently announced, I think yesterday, God, so many things happen every day, it's hard to keep track, but he announced that it looks like we won't be opening up for business in Ontario until probably June or July, which means we're a couple months away, which is scary stuff. Especially because none of the government funding that our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced actually helps us. Like, I'm pretty sure, I'm talking to accountants and bookkeepers, but I'm pretty sure I get nothing so far because I'm a small business owner. We've been putting every penny we had into keeping the store growing because it's a hard thing to open a new business for the last 3 years. And I don't think with tax write-offs and all the things that we've written off of that, I'm pretty sure I don't hit the $5,000 income minimum for last year, which is extremely scary and extremely frustrating because like a lot of us small business owners, and I have friends who also own small businesses. A lot of us, I put in like 70 hours of work a week, 70 hours, right? And I'm trying to keep the store going and I'm building a community, but because technically I didn't claim enough income, I get nothing. And so far, I don't think any of the small business support or financing the government's announced we qualify for either. And our mortgage isn't through one of the 6 biggest banks in Canada. So technically we still have to pay our mortgage as well with no income and no events. Like, it's a crazy freaking world right now, and nobody from our government has stepped up to help us as a small business owner, which terrifies me. So there's the state of the news there for you. So yeah, scary times, lots of crazy things going on. Online sales have been the one highlight for us. People are still ordering some board games and card games, and we were lucky that because we wanted to grow our store, and we still have this goal of eventually becoming one of the big game stores in Canada. We knew the next step was to get into online sales. So way back in January, before any of this craziness really started hopping, we switched over and got online sales going, and all of our board games and card games and that are on our website. So when all this happened, we were actually better prepared than most stores. A lot of other stores in small towns in Ontario I've seen are starting to put board games and card games trickle up onto their websites, usually with higher prices too. Seriously, price check. We're one of the cheapest stores in Canada for board games, for a lot of them. Support us. But yeah, so like we were in a better spot, and we're still scared, you know? But anyways, online sales have been a pretty good high spot for it, at least, because it's a little bit trickling in. And we had a really cool order come in yesterday, which I'm actually going to get ready to pack up now. So that's why I think that once again today, this is another great time for us to take a look at somebody else's fun stuff. All right, somebody else's fun stuff. So today our order that we received, well, one of the orders, but the one that we're featuring, is from one of the families who's got some kids who love to play Pokemon. So since we can't host our Saturday morning Pokemon events right now for obvious reasons, they thought they'd stock up on some board games, which I thought was really cool. So one of the games that they picked, first one up, is one of our highest rated games. We recommend it a lot. It's Betrayal at House on the Hill. Betrayal at House on the Hill is a game, they recommend ages 12 plus, but honestly it's pretty easy to play. You can get away with kids a little younger. And 3 to 6 players, takes about an hour to play. Basically the idea of Betrayal at House on the Hill is there's going to be a house, you're going to be exploring it, and you're going to see spooky things all the time. It's kind of almost like a horror movie as a board game. You're exploring a spooky house, you see spooky things all the time, and then the twist is, because again it's called Betrayal at House on the Hill, eventually somebody gets so scared in the game that they snap, and then they turn into the betrayer, and then it's their job to try and wipe out all the rest of the players and stop them from escaping alive, while the rest of the players work together as a team to get out. It's a really cool game because you never know when a game starts who's going to wind up being the betrayer. You don't control it, the game does. Next up is one of the classic games everybody knows. Not a lot to talk about here. It's Scrabble. Easy to play, fun. It's good especially for families with kids because, you know, you're working on the vocabulary, getting all them big wordiness out there, and they get points and whatnot. Everybody knows Scrabble, so give that a wipe down with the Lysol. That's about it for that bag. And this order is a big order today. 2 bags worth of games, because next up, after that, is, I'll start with the small one, a little deck of cards, some bicycle playing cards, because, you know, there's a million games you can play with a deck of cards, so get that all wiped down, sterilized. And then finally, the last game they picked, a great choice, is Catan. They're grabbing the normal base game. Let me move the other bag out of the way. They're grabbing the normal base game that you need. Now, there's all sorts of expansions for Catan. You can make it bigger with all sorts of cool extra mechanics you can buy later, but this is the base game for up to 4 players. Specifically 3 or 4 players. You need at least 3 to play it. Catan's a great game. It's actually one of those staple games where if all you ever played was, you know, Scrabble and Monopoly, and you want to try out a modern day board game, that's something a little deeper and more exciting, Catan is generally one of the first ones people go to. to get their friends hooked on board games. The idea is you're settlers on a continent. You can see the continent here. People are going to have towns. And what happens is whenever dice gets rolled beside your town, you get a reward, a resource, if your town's in the right spot on the map. You collect the resources and you use those resources to build roads because you want to expand around the island of Catan and build more towns eventually using resources. And it's a resource management game, which means people wind up having to trade with other people to be able to build the stuff they need, and usually. And I don't know, it's just a really fun game. One of the awesome staple games, like I mentioned. So that's the order today. Betrayal, House on the Hill, Scrabble, a deck of cards, Catan, all sorts of fun and games. Going to our friends, like I mentioned, one of our Pokemon playing families. So they're going to have lots of fun. And I'm jealous because these games they're going to be playing all day, and I'm sitting here alone in the store wishing I had someone to play with. I'll probably be on Arena later playing a little Magic digitally, so maybe you want to tune in online and see if you can beat me at a game. I'm a willing victim. That's all for today. Thank you, and stay safe out there, everybody. We'll see you soon. Go North.